Cross-country running. It may be a sport that you hadn't given much thought to in the past, because on the outside it looks like a ton of kids just running in the streets on a hot summer day. But on the inside it goes deeper than that. There's a great story to tell. And at Notre Dame Academy in northeastern Wisconsin, that story goes deeper than any of us could have ever known. The belief in each other, the brotherhood formed, the belief from a head coach that anything is possible through the value of friendship and teamwork, resulted in one of the greatest championship teams that Notre Dame has ever known. A school rich with success, being that they've won 41 championships in their history since 1990. This one stands out from them all. How they touch people's lives, how they touched each other's lives, and that connection that they've formed forever with their names engraved on the wall of greatness, forever being remembered as state champions. I'm Dominic D'Angelo, and this is Do Not Settle. Like most great teams, this one starts at the top, and the head of this team was head coach John Gard, a guy who made a career in politics for ages. So why did he decide to take over this program as a cross-country coach? He would tell you to touch kids in a way that he was touched back when he was running at UW-La Crosse.
Cross-country is a sport that a lot of kids don't grow up dreaming to participate in. Distance running is intimidating. Most kids play ball sports growing up because that's what their parents sign them up for. But I see way too many kids sitting on the bench just because there's limited playing time. Basketball, only 5 kids get to play at a time, and you know, they're all great sports. I played them all my life, but running, it allows kids to find and reveal and discover things about themselves that they wouldn't otherwise be able to find out because you got to challenge yourself.
I joined just because I had ran before, but I didn't really have like any goals or anything for the cross-country team. I just really wanted to meet some people and get an introduction to high school. But almost as soon as the first summer running, when I met Howie, Reed, and Owen, I knew that it was something really special and I wanted to be a part of it for all 4 years.
I love to go talk with families in their homes. First of all, I think it's important for Catholic education for us to constantly realize we're in a competitive marketplace. And if you're not telling people about yourself and probing and asking questions, what makes people tick, your competition's doing it. And you miss opportunities to get to know families. And for me, if you join Notre Dame Cross Country, the whole family's joining, not just a boy or a girl.
Right. What kind of impression did that give you that the head coach of a varsity sport at a really good school is willing to come and talk to you at that point?
That was awesome. Because when I came in, I was kind of like Joe. I was a big soccer guy. So originally, I was planning on doing like just soccer. So my mom, I don't know if you guys it was is a coach. So she coaches cross country as well. So she kind of was talking with Gard, and he came. I think he gave us a book, probably. I don't know. He made us read a lot. And it's a big influence when he comes and he talks to you like one-on-one. You really feel like what he's saying matters, and I don't know. It's a big help.
So you met with, and correct me if I'm wrong, you met with pretty much every senior that won a championship last year. Did you think that when you first met with them, when they were 8th grade going into freshman year, did you ever think they could be that good?
You know, that group, you just get teams that you just feel like there's something different. So when I met Isaac and Fed and Beckett and Joe Stumpf and Jackson and the rest of the gang, you could just feel like, these guys, these boys, 8th grade boys, are going to turn into young men. If they're willing to do the work and they all are there together at the same time, the sky's the limit.
Joe, you did not run cross country as a freshman, but you did run track that year. You then started to develop a relationship with a lot of the cross country guys. You then joined the next year. What sort of dynamic do you think that they brought that really kind of opened your eyes to, wow, this is something I want to be a part of?
I liked that they just it felt like they had a lot of good-natured fun. Like, it was just really fun to be around, and it wasn't like, I don't know, just like good kids who like to joke around and go on long runs and just spend time with each other.
Would they do anything to kind of, not pressure you, but to kind of needle you a little bit, be like, hey, you should be running with us all the time?
Some of them make jokes, but I felt like in general they were pretty, like maybe Isaac was probably the most like, you need to run, but I feel like everybody was pretty chill about it, like, because they thought that I did soccer, so I wouldn't really be coming.
Yeah. What kind of impression did you get from Coach Gard when you first met him? Were you first kind of like, oh yeah, he wants me in this program, or did he kind of slowly but surely kind of persuade you to do it?
About as soon as I ran my first 400, he was like, yeah, you're going to do cross country, basically. Like, you know, I had heard of him recruiting people before. One of my buddies, Jack Freilich, said, like, he was like, Coach Gard will try to get you to do cross country, but don't do it. But then, like, against his advice, I did it, and it's super fun.
You guys obviously have a great chemistry, both when you're running and off of the course. So when did you first start to kind of build that relationship? Because Fed, Isaac, and Jack, and you guys are all seniors. Joe didn't come in until a year later. So what kind of things did you guys do to kind of build that brotherhood that we all see today?
Well, at the start of the summer, I was ready to go. I was looking forward ahead to that state meet.
Yeah.
And I think during training and other meets, when you see everybody else out there working so hard, you automatically kind of work even harder. And then going in, like Isaac said, when we had 7 guys that ran under 17 minutes, that's kind of when you knew that this is something that doesn't happen too often. And
Sure.
we were ready to go out there.
I just realized from last year we did a lot of team bonding, a lot of stuff with the team. So that's something I'm going to be taking on with this year, getting the team together for a lot of stuff, and it'll be fun. Yeah.
I try really hard to force the athletes and the members of the team to, you know, ask themselves how important it is to them. I always say to them, it can't be more important to me than it is to you. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the guys are good friends outside of the workouts. They've really bonded, and I think they trusted each other to do the work. It's a difficult thing. There's some kids I would love to have been able to be on that state team, but they just were right on the edge, and there's only 7 spots. And but I try to communicate with them frequently. Sometimes I think they would say too frequently, but and just be straight. Like, here's the deal. Here's the opportunity, and everybody's going to find their way. And you know, Joe Hunt came onto the scene last year after Connor Hawley graduated, and you know, filled in and did a phenomenal job. And I'm sure there are people going, hey, we thought when Connor left there's going to be a spot, and Joel was the guy that showed up. So every year you never know what you're going to get, and this year, you know, it'll be the same thing.
Only towards the end of the year, I remember that conference meet that you had where you passed like 5 guys at the end there. So how did you see yourself progress over the course last year?
Actually, yeah, so mid-season, I think I raced like a JV race over at Shawano. It didn't go too well for me. I mean, it was like that course was like kind of expected, like kind of like a PR since it was just a fast course. But I didn't PR. And then I would do like, I try to visualize me racing, or I did like visualizing on like the course. And that's what I did at conference. And when I visualized like what I was doing, like before I raced, like during warm-ups, like I would just like lock in and like watch the course while I was just jogging on it. And that helped me lock in on the course and everything, and then ended up with like a PR.
He sets us up in like groups that will run together.
Yep.
But he also understands that, especially with the seniors, because we were so senior heavy, it was like 7 seniors in the top 10 or something like that, or 6, whatever, that we knew at that point, after 4 years of running, kind of how to plan our races. So he would say, Beckett, if you want to be with these guys in the beginning, that's fine. But if you want to run your own race because you take it slower in the beginning, that's fine. And it's kind of the same deal with me. And whatever race I'm in, I'm probably not going to fall asleep. You know what I mean? By fall asleep, I mean, you know, sometimes if you're, say, in a JV race, or if you're in a varsity race but you're kind of spaced out, in the middle portion of the race you kind of completely lose your pace and you just lose mental focus. And that really hurts your time. But I learned over the years never to fall asleep, so the race planning doesn't really need to be a huge factor into it, I feel like.
So when you get to those bigger levels, do you think it was more of a mental thing that kind of made you maybe trip yourself up a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. Freshman and sophomore year, I'd never been in a meet that meant that much or a high pressure meet like that, and I think I went in the state meet a little unprepared and not as confident in myself as I should have been, and I let the pressure and all the people that were there get to me, and yeah.
So they say the greatest teacher in life is experience. So how did that experience kind of catapult you into the next year?
I learned to stay calm. I worked through that junior track season. I think that sectional race for the track season, I ran what I wanted to run and I ran as well as I wanted to. And I think that honestly just gave me confidence that, okay, I know that I can do it, and just staying calm under pressure was really important.
And I think motivation-wise, it was a lot of the kind of the same, because we come second before, so it was a lot of just, you know, using the same old motivation, but maybe a little bit reinvigorated, because it was like the same group that had lost, so it was the same group that wanted to win again, and we knew it was kind of like a lot of our last shot because we had so many seniors leaving, so it was kind of like, well, we got to do it this year. Like, so it was maybe a little bit more passion since we had so many seniors, so it was so many people knowing it was the last year, but otherwise the goal was always the same.
Did you know about the history of coming up short for the past couple of years?
Yep, which I definitely felt less like self-pressure, but more like, it wasn't so much pressure as much as motivation to do this for these guys, because I knew we had made it like so many years in a row and somebody had to get it done, and I knew we could.
We try, like when we go to state, we take a big group.
Yeah.
Because there's 7 kids that get to race, but we want everybody to feel like, hey, we all serve a purpose here and we're all part of this.
Yeah.
And hopefully we've accomplished that.
You guys had a dinner the night before
Yeah.
state. What was that like? Just being with, you know, the people that were going to race. It was guys and girls during that dinner. You had to get all dressed up. I saw you guys in the lobby.
Yeah.
So what was the food like? What was the atmosphere like? Was there tension at all because you're thinking so much and focusing on tomorrow? Or was it just kind of laid back, like, let's just enjoy ourselves tonight?
I think there's definitely a mix of both. Like, everybody that's in that dinner has a goal, and there's definitely focus on the race that's coming the next morning, but it's also time to kind of relax and hang out with the people that you've spent the whole season with, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
The chemistry was a really big part of that team culture, you know. Just getting everybody motivated, making everybody feel a part. And I mean, like I was saying earlier, me personally, do way better when I'm a part of something and I'm working for other people. So that was just really big for, I think, the whole team.
And I think during training and other meets, when you see everybody else out there working so hard, you automatically kind of work even harder. And then going in, like Isaac said, when we had 7 guys that ran under 17 minutes, that's kind of when you knew that this is something that doesn't happen too often, and
Sure.
we were ready to go out there.
Let's go to last year. Was there a point last year where you thought this team is different than the team last year, or did you just think it was kind of a commitment to each other that's like, we're not going to let it happen again?
Well, I think the year before, you know, losing our arch nemesis Shorewood made everybody more hungry. You know, Isaac and Joe Stumpf and Jackson and the gang, they all ratcheted up their focus, and they also believe that I think we're committed, like, hey, we are not going to leave this, you know, the ability to win, we're not going to leave that on the table and underwork. So, I don't know, you could feel it from the day summer running started. We got to, you know, we got to Shawano right before the city meet, and that was the day Isaac, you know, ran incredibly well, and you could just feel it starting to happen. Go to GRIAC, liked what I saw.
Yeah.
You know, you come back and you go to conference, and all 4 teams win all 4 races.
Yeah.
And you start to say, hey, this thing is coming together. And then you just got to keep them healthy, no head colds and all that kind of stuff, which is, you know, what stresses me out,
Right.
all the little stuff. But
Yeah.
you could just feel it happening. I just kept saying, I want these kids to experience this. I want them to feel it. And they all did what they needed to do. They took care of the little things.
So I'd been like 6 or 7 all year. I'd never been out of the top 7. And I was super sick. Guard was like, you don't have to run if you don't have to. But I was like I feel like I can run. I'm just not on my top stuff. So I ran regionals. And then obviously I didn't perform super well. I was still feeling really sick. It was a rainy day, it was cold, I was sick.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just dying right now. So yeah, I ran pretty bad, but my spot had been guaranteed before.
Yeah.
Because of how I'd performed all season.
Right.
Being a couple times I was 5th, I was 6th, 7th, so I was never outside of the kind of the money zone. And then I ended up running well at sectionals. I ran pretty well, so then kind of reaffirmed kind of guard's hunch of my spot. I ran pretty well there, and then I just didn't really show up at state, which, like I said, is kind of a shame, but in the end, it doesn't really matter. I'm not running in college. I was just happy. The one goal I'd set out all 4 years was to win, and we finally did it. So
that feeling when you did win, was it more for you guys as being the senior leaders and all that? Was it more relief because you just climbed this mountain that no one in this program has ever been able to climb, and you did it as a senior, so you weren't going to get any more cracks at this? Or was it more just pure joy because you finally did get to the mountaintop that you have been trying for so many years to get on top of?
I think it's a little bit of a combination of all of them. So obviously there's like the pure joy of just the moment. But like what we were saying earlier about our freshman year, we had like good senior leaders. So one of them, Reed, who was, I don't know, that's one I feel like I was the closest to. He brought me to a bunch of summer runnings. We talked all the time. So he actually came to the state race. So he was there kind of, like he had like worked, he'd gotten second, I think 2 years, right? So he had been there, he's like second, then he'd seen us get second again, and then he was there when we won. So it was kind of like, for like all the guys like that tried and were so close and like helped all of us, kind of to see it bear fruit kind of in the end with us winning. I don't know.
It was a long time coming, and it was just a really good feeling of satisfaction and, you know, not relief, but achievement. And it was kind of that feeling throughout the whole race, honestly, because they had the live splits, and you could see every single mile that we were just far and away leading that race, and it was just such an energy and excitement running around the course watching our guys come in.
Yeah.
And you see that they're, you know, ahead of, you know, Lakeland 6th or, you know, what have you.
Yeah.
Lakeside, I mean. Yeah, that was probably the highlight of my high school career.
I guess, yeah, there was a lot of relief. I mean, we were looking at the board, you know, there's this picture of us all, like just, or video even, of us all just standing there. And then we see second place, Lakeside Lutheran, and then we all just celebrating because, I mean, we know we won. I don't know, I was pretty excited after. I was bopping to some Young Gravy in the 10 after. It was sick. But, yeah.
It was just like, I can like explain it too well, but like it was, we're just waiting there and I see it, like we take first or whatever, and like it just felt good. I felt like I was gonna cry or something, but like, and then like Isaac, he like ran into me for a hug and like he went like underneath me and I like felt like I was gonna get tackled, but it was something else. Like it was like extreme amount of joy throughout the team, but yeah, it was awesome.
I'm not a super emotional guy like ever. I don't really cry that often, but yeah, it was, the waterworks were going. I mean, it's just such relief. I looked up and I saw Reed, he's like my favorite senior. Him and Owen were really tight with me.
Yeah.
Same with Howie, but those, Reed was kind of like he was like a role model for me. He really helped me out. So I saw him there. He made the trip. I think he was crying. I mean, it was an amazing experience.
But for me, it was joy for those kids because I know, you know, Federico had been injured a bunch leading up to that last year. Jackson Fogarty had worked so hard, and you know, really was a decisive part of winning state that day. Isaac, Joe Stumpf, these guys, when you're watching them during the race, I mean, they were literally willing to cough up a lung for the team. And then Joel Hunt and Braden were running well, and Bryce ran well. So I mean, all 7 were there. I think during the race, they felt like it was happening. And I mean, I would have loved to have been on the course that day running. You know, I was like, hey, because when they were done, everybody's dead tired. But I think they were like, did we beat those Shorewood guys?
Yeah.
You know, so.
Was there any pressure on you, do you think? Because you were in the top 5 there, so was there any pressure because you know that these guys this is their last race ever, and so you want to make sure that they go out the right way?
Yeah, that was mostly, for me it was mostly like most of the nerves and stuff. It was less for me and mostly for these guys because I've never done this, so it was kind of my first year, and I felt like I was just trying to get this done for them mostly.
Sure.
And like when I finished, it was weird because it was a mix of like satisfaction that we were done and we got the job done, but also like I remember just being done and it was like a sense of aimlessness almost where I was like, now it's over. Like it was just like hit me like a truck. Like I was so focused on the race that we finished, and I remember I was like the only one that went for a cool down after because I just didn't know what to do with myself after we won. Like we stopped celebrating and I was like, I wish we could like keep right. Like it feels like you shouldn't. We finished on top, but I felt like there's always more competition, so it felt kind of weird. Like we had so much, we won with so much cushion that I wish that we had kind of been able to compete against like better teams. And
Sure.
Stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you
For the record, I was good with how we won. I didn't really care much about the score.
It was amazing. It was just a great sense of accomplishment, and you were proud of all the people that you had ran with all summer and all season. Everybody that was standing next to you were your teammates, and you just knew that you had reached the top, and that was the goal, and you had completed it.
Did it make it more special that you were a senior that year?
Absolutely. Yeah. Knowing that this was the last cross-country race I was going to run in that uniform, and having it be such a big meet and then winning the meet is something that I'll never forget.
The best part is to just be with these kids. I mean, they're, you know, I'm old guy now, so I'm very aware that it's a very brief moment in time. And you try to give these kids a great opportunity to learn about themselves so the next phase of their life they can take on other challenges.
So after witnessing this story, it's truly a story untold, unlike any other. This team came together from a mix of backgrounds, but one thing that they all learned through all of this, everyone has a dream, and their dream was to be state champions in cross country. After coming up short the previous year, they maintained their #1 ranking in the power rankings all the way through the 2022 season and ended it on top as state champions. A lot of these runners went on to run in college, others pursued other paths, but one thing that they maintained was that brotherhood that they built throughout the year. All because they did not settle. So for a message from all of us at Notre Dame Sports, never settle at anything in your life, because if you follow in the footsteps of these gentlemen, you too will become a champion at whatever you choose. What's the biggest piece of advice you can give for anyone who's thinking about joining cross country or who's just starting out running?
Let's think. I mean, it's kind of corny, but like the saying, like, trust the process. Like, I mean, like at the beginning when you do the first 2 rivers, like the first time,
Yeah.
you're like, this really kind of sucks. But then you kind of get into the flow of it. The practices get easier. The tempos don't feel as long. And I don't know, it's like, for me, my favorite part, like I didn't always like love running, but it was just awesome when you were running. You just like feel like you're really giving it your all and like going pretty fast. So I don't know, just kind of wait it out and like the results will come.
Yeah.
I'd say just like enjoy it. I know it's hard to enjoy running, but like especially if you're coming into our program, like with summer running, it's really nice to have like people to run with. Because I mean, I know personally, like when I was running all through winter, I was all by myself for the most part, and it kind of, I mean, it can get like sluggish and repetitive, and you really got to be disciplined and stuff. But if you're doing it, like you said, the first time, just joining, go to summer running. You'll not only will you get better, you get to know people, and I mean you'll have fun too. At least talking with the people, if not during running.
Yeah, you kind of stole my thing. I was gonna say, like you should run with people you enjoy and have fun, and it makes the experience a lot more enjoyable. But also find people who will push you. So, like I've noticed, it's kind of hard for me this year because all these guys left, so I'm the fastest guy, and it's hard to have good workouts. But last year, like it felt a lot easier and more fun to have people who I had in front of me to chase down, and like people pushing me
Yeah.
on the track and on like the runs.
Yeah.
I would say don't give up. I think even if you're starting running, it can be really difficult, but as time goes on, you definitely get better, and if you stick with it and don't give up, you can accomplish your goals and just don't give up.